Stephen A. Smith just got his wake-up call.
You need a high IQ. I'm not sure that Stephen has that.
In the last year, he's really been taking this serious dive into politics.
Somehow, some way, the taxpayers been paying this, been throwing money, because we all look at our check, and it's been going to the government. And somehow, some way, you're supposed to be doing something constructive and productive enough to make sure that we don't have that kind of deficit.
Which works well when you're praising Trump and attacking everybody else that has a criticism of Trump, like Jasmine Crockett.
And I hope Jasmine Crockett is listening to this. Is engaging in verbiage and rhetoric for the streets. And you being all disrespectful.
For all of a sudden, when he's saying something that conservative audience that he's cultivated doesn't want to hear.
The president disrupted our mojo. I've said this on many occasions over the last 24 hours, and I'm saying it again. The man messed things up.
He instantly gets put in his place and reminded that no matter how much he grifts.
But you know he's coming. And you know part of the reason why is to get back at everybody who tried to take him down. They didn't try to keep him out of the White House and that was it. They tried to throw him in prison. The man is coming.
He's still an N-word to them.
But you need a certain aptitude to run for president.
But I'm Jew. Welcome to the channel. Please like and share the video. Don't forget to sub. Now, let's get into it.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. How you doing? Our president showed up in New York City last night. And needless to say, what I feared would happen ended up happening. The New York Knicks lost. And obviously, I'm blaming him. Why am I blaming him, ladies and gentlemen? It's very, very simple. Because the president disrupted our mojo. I've said this on many occasions over the last 24 hours, and I'm saying it again. The man mess things up.
This is a really big deal for Stephen A. Smith for how much of a MAGA meat rider he's been. He's literally attacking black people for having criticisms of Trump, and now he's calling him out over showing up to the Knicks game and the Knicks lose.
And he knows how miserable New York fans have been. Why? Because he's a Queens native. He's from this area. He knows exactly what New Yorkers have been through, and he didn't care. New Yorkers have looked out for this man. I thought he was supposed to be looking out for us. He wants to sit up there and talk about my low IQ. We'll get to that in a second, because that part really, really made me laugh. Not only did we lose the game, did you see traffic? Did you see the watch party that wasn't outside of Madison Square Garden? Did you see thousands upon thousands of faithful New York Knicks fans that were forced to remove themselves from the area?
The funny thing is, it is absolutely crazy that Trump attended the finals. Just like it's crazy he's having a UFC event outside of the White House. It's some idiocracy shit. Especially while we're in a war with Iran, especially while the economy is tanking, people are struggling, inflation is sky high. There are so many things that should prevent Trump from attending sporting events because you should have bigger fish to fry. But that's not even Stephen A's criticism. His criticism is, you fucked up the Knicks mojo, so you shouldn't have been there. He's scared to really criticize Trump for real.
Guess what he was doing during the game, ladies and gentlemen?
Sleep.
Go online, look at the videos. I'm not gonna accuse him of snoring because I wasn't in earshot.
He was catching
But
Z's.
the brother wasn't awake. He wasn't awake. If it was that important for you to be there, why did you look like you were asleep? Didn't you call our former President Joe Biden Sleepy Joe? Well,
Yes.
what should we call you? And now the New York Knicks have to go back to San Antonio. Why? For Game 5. Why? Because you got in the way for your own selfish motives.
It was, I think, mostly cheers. It was loud and it was very enthusiastic.
Mr. President, ESPN commentator Stephen A. Smith, who was talking about running for president, said he would blame you if the Knicks lost the game. How do you respond to that?
I think he's a nice guy. But you need a certain aptitude to run for president. You need a high IQ. I'm not sure that Stephen has that. I don't think he does, actually.
It's always the lowest IQ people that have something to say about somebody's IQ. But it's funny, for all the Trump glazing that Stephen A. Smith has done, attacking other people, having smoke for people like Jasmine Crockett, Stephen A. still gets treated just like the rest of them, called low IQ. Nigga was screaming at Jasmine Crockett, but he whispering when talking to Trump. At this point, Stephen A. Smith has a history of being real loud, real bold with black people. He talked about putting hands on LeBron.
That man put his hands on me, I would have immediately swung on.
Called Jasmine Crockett a hood rat.
Is engaging in verbiage and rhetoric for the streets. And that's fine when you in the streets. How many of y'all bring the streets to the table when you at the negotiating table trying to get a deal done? How many of you are able to think that for a second that you're able to to bring street verbiage to Capitol Hill, and that's going to work for you.
Had stuff to say about Serena Williams.
We know that. Even if I'm married and my wife is going to join trolling her ex, go back to his ass. Because clearly you don't belong with me. What you worried about him for and you with me?
I gotta get that leak back.
But when her husband checked him, he was so nice and polite.
Stephen A. Smith, I think you had some marriage advice for me. Is that right? Or
Well, you know what? Listen, I didn't. People, headlines are headlines. We can get into that another time, but I
was hoping you were going to be here.
I am not qualified. Married?
Right.
Oh no, not me.
He's doing the same thing now with Trump. Trump called him low IQ, just like he calls every other black critic low IQ. And Stephen A. Smith has none of the same energy that he has for black people.
You want to talk about IQ? I could say I put my IQ up against yours any day of the week. I could go one better. I could ask you why you've been running from me the last year since I wanted to talk to you. I could ask you to debate me since you think you that dude, okay? We can go a myriad of ways with all of this. But I'm not going to let you off the hook because none of that is important. I do appreciate the fact that you called me a nice guy.
He's talking so soft and so polite. The comparison between how he talked about Jasmine Crockett or how he talks about LeBron compared to how he's talking about Trump, who actually called him low IQ, is craziness.
But I actually am a very nice guy until you tug it. And then after that, I got to show my other side. And my other side came out last night when I recognized that businesses that are accustomed to being patronized were compromised by you because you showed up. The crowd that surrounded the Madison Square Garden and its surrounding areas, you compromised. I thought you were about the economy. I thought you were about helping New Yorkers because you love New York. I thought you were about making money for people. What happened to the parking garages? How much money did they make? What happened to the local restaurants in the immediate vicinity of Madison Square Garden? How much money did they make? We know you've made a lot of money. We know you keep making money. Businesses were thriving before you showed up. Parking garages were being fed before you showed up. There was noise reverberating off the walls of Madison Square Garden before you showed up.
He's talking so soft, it's crazy. And it got worse for good old Stephen A. Donald Trump just responded to Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith is an arrogant fool, a low IQ individual. In other words, he's dumb as a rock. Stephen A. Smith is an arrogant fool, a low IQ individual. In other words, he's dumb as a rock and totally unqualified to ever think of running for high political office or even low political office for that matter. He get annihilated in the debate by the most incompetent of politicians, mainly himself. Joe Biden's now fabled performance would look great by comparison to anything that this loudmouth huckster, huckster has to offer, which isn't much. Within a few weeks, they laugh him out of politics. That's crazy. The person he's been riding for all this time finally gave him his Negro wake-up call.
You're in an uproar off the Epstein list? That's all you've got? It's really, really surprising that this matters. Of course, I think there's a list, but I don't know. I suspect, but I have no knowledge, nor do I care. It's Friday night. I'm getting ready to go out and enjoy myself. I'm getting ready to have a nice weekend. I could give a damn about the client list, the Epstein client list. It has no effect on me whatsoever. I have a life.
And I guess he got personal for Stephen A. because he addressed it again on his political show.
Donald Trump and I have history. We've known each other before he ever entered the White House. And in the world of sports, he knows what I bring to the table. I'd also like to remind everybody that over a year ago on a network News Nation, the same Donald Trump that said my IQ was low and that you have to have a strong aptitude.
The energy is just so different. When he was going off on Jasmine Crockett, calling her a hood rat, bringing hood rat tendencies to her job, she needs to stay in her lane. His chest was all puffed out. He was loud. He had a lot to say. He is talking so calmly and softly right now. It is just really funny to me.
That was the same Donald Trump that told Bill O'Reilly and Chris Cuomo and a packed audience for a town hall meeting that he would love to see me run for president. But because I said what I said about him being the reason that the New York Knicks will have lost Game 3, he obviously took offense and clapped back. That is his right, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not offended by that whatsoever. I'm not offended by it because it's his default position. I'm not offended by it because he does get attacked every day, sometimes, believe it or not, unfairly. And I'm not offended by it because, unlike him, I can take it. Because he's so beautiful and he's so marvelous. Donald Trump is so marvelous. He's so perfect. Everything is great. Everything is wonderful.
What was that?
Anybody who refutes anything that he says or thinks is low IQ. If you really, really feel that strongly that I have a low IQ, I say there's several options. I have been trying to pursue an interview with you for over a year. Why don't you sit down with me one-on-one and answer some of my
He
questions?
keeps pitching the interview.
See if I have the aptitude and the IQ to ask you the proper questions about what you're doing for this country. What happened to America first? I thought there would be no additional new wars. You know, things like that. Not to mention some of the things that you've done to scale back progress in this country with Supreme Court justice appointees and some of the rulings that have taken place. What about redistricting and gerrymandering and the way that has affected the African-American community? But these same people who supported you, black, white, and everything in between, you inconvenienced, you held up, you compromised so you could go to a game at their expense, which is all this is about. Ladies and gentlemen, this discussion ain't about politics. This discussion is about me saying that man had no business at a basketball game of the magnitude of the NBA Finals in New York City because of the congestion that it would cause. And all of a sudden, he's having a pissy fit. And he's saying stuff like low IQ. Nor am I going to use this as an opportunity to engage in political talk because it's unnecessary. What I'm saying is it's the latest indication of the level of selfishness that's going on. I can get political in bringing up Iran.
He's getting loud now, okay.
And the Strait of Hormuz. And the fact that that's still closed. And you still got Iranians, patrolling that.
Patrolling what? The Strait? This is why Stephen A. needs to stick to sports.
Sending drones, scaring the living hell out of people, compromising business when 20% of the world's oil goes through that. I could talk about how it's got prices at home increasing. I could say that relates to affordability issues that you promised would never be an issue under your presidency because it was an issue under the Biden administration. I'm talking about folks that are on your side of the aisle that are against you because they said you went against your promise to them about America being put first. But I didn't do any of that. I'm just talking about your presence at a basketball game. And I'm saying to go there knowing the inconvenience it would cause, thinking about yourself when Israel and the Palestinians are going at it, and you know what? Hezbollah and Hamas are addressed and damn near eradicated. And what you talking about? Building a golf course or a hotel in Gaza.
He kind of proves that he's out of his depth when he talks about these political topics. He definitely isn't as fluid as he is when he's crashing out about LeBron and talking about sports.
I'm talking about rumors circulating consistently that while America struggles, Trump name, Trump cronies get richer and richer and richer. Talking about you telling America to wait, while in the same breath out of the other side of your mouth telling folks, I don't even think about that right now when it comes to the war in Iran. I'm talking about the U.S. national debt right there. $5 billion added daily since October. I could have brought all of that up. I didn't, because I was talking about basketball game. And you all upset because somebody would dare challenge you. Because you're neglecting to point out the challenges you present to us as American citizens because you haven't convinced us that you are doing your job.
This is super hypocritical. So now he's okay with people challenging Trump. But when Jasmine Crockett was doing it, for instance, when Maxine Waters does it, and they get attacked by Trump, Stephen A. was attacking them. Stephen A. was criticizing them for responding to him, for responding to the racism, the disrespect, the low IQs. But now he's responding to the exact same thing.
Having the FCC on your side 1 minute, the Federal Reserve another.
Oh, he's calling out the FCC now because when that came up initially with the FCC, and he was saying, stay out Trump's way. He's coming. What do y'all think he was going to do?
By what appears to be our First Amendment rights being attacked. But you know he's coming. And you know part of the reason why is to get back at everybody who tried to take him down. They didn't try to keep him out of the White House and that was it. They tried to throw him in prison. The man is coming.
This is really funny now that the shoe is on the other foot.
Putting your people in positions, trying to create $1.8 billion slush funds to give out to January 6th insurrectionists, and you and who you handpick get to determine who gets what, as if none of it is going to be taken for yourself by you. All of these things I could have talked about. I just talk about a basketball game.
Stephen A. didn't care when Trump dissed Maxine Waters, Kamala, Justice Brown Jackson, Jasmine Crockett, and Hakeem Jeffries as low IQ. But when racist-ass Trump called his tap dancing ass low IQ, them's fighting words. Classic Trump humper. Trump's hate is okay until it's aimed at you. Facts. Dear Stephen A. Smith, here's what they think about you. Let's see if you respond to him with the same passion, vitriol, and energy you do with black male athletes. Kwame Brown, Jaylen Brown, Terrell Owens, Kyrie Irving, LeBron James, KD, etc., etc., etc. He won't. Talk to him like you did Jaylen Brown and KD. He won't. Just pretend he's a black woman, Stephen A. Smith. You be locked in when it's time to get at them. Very true. A few weeks ago, Stephen A. Smith said he wished all black people will vote Republican for one election. Well, today Donald Trump said this about him. Shake my head. It's really something about 2026 where these useful idiots are finding out that they are not needed and not wanted by the people that they've been bootlicking for. Trump is the same man that he attacked black people for criticizing, and now he's being called low IQ just like they were. It's karma. But shout out to my channel members. Thanks for supporting, and thank you so much for watching. Y'all let me know what you think about all this in the comments. Also, make sure you check out the next video, and don't forget to follow me on Instagram for behind the scenes and life stuff, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.